Hello everyone. So I just submitted my app that I was working on. Now this app, Stay on Top, is basically an app which is already on the marketplace for server server version of Jira, and I was actually working on the cloud equivalent for some time. It is not really a complicated app. It's a very simple app, but the main thing about this app is that this app is basically uh, built it was built using a Forge. So if you look at the app, so the way this app works is actually very simple. So if you go to your Jira issue, and by the way, I'm talking about the cloud here. If you go to your Jira issue, you will get this panel on the right hand side, and if you click on this key information, this app will actually show you some information which is not there, and there is something wrong with the app. And let me take a look at the log. Come on, it is embarrassing. Okay, for this app to work, so I had to reinstall the app because there was some problem because I submitted this app for approval. Maybe that is the reason why it didn't work. But I I'm now going to reinstall the app, and once you reinstall the app, you have to give the permission that you are allowing your Jira instance to be accessible by this app. Not release and everything, but yeah, you have to define the scope for the permissions. And the moment you have this app installed, you will get this wonderful panel showing this information on the right hand side. So basically, for this particular issue, the signee email address and the reporter email address is also displayed here, along with the number of days since this issue has been created. So basically, this issue was created 65 days ago, and this particular issue is in this current status, which is, I believe, if you go back, so it has been in the current status for 65 days. So this is something important because if there is no activity happening, for example, if I change the status to do, and if I go back to the uh, my panel, my issue panel, and if I refresh this particular issue one more time, it should now show you the number of days in the current status as today. So basically, this is something that you can easily do using Forge. And by the way, I'm just using the APIs because this information is actually stored in the change history manager of the issue. And this is something that I'm going to now take further. I will add more features to this app. In fact, I've been working on few features which I will be releasing hopefully soon. But today I thought I'll probably just at least try to release this app on Jira Cloud. In not only in just Visual Studio Code, but also in IntelliJ. Even in IntelliJ, you can actually change the shortcuts, not one by one. I believe I installed a plugin, or maybe I think in IntelliJ it is called as key map, if I remember correctly. But I use IntelliJ for writing code in Groovy, and also if I'm developing Jira server apps. And to be honest, I tried, and I'm still trying, by the way. Sometimes when I get time, I try to set up Emacs for Java development so that I can have access to my Jira Java APIs, like all the methods. But I mean, I managed to make it work for doing few things, but not really each and everything. And to be honest, uh, I don't really have time to basically spend that much, you know, effort into customizing an ID. I rather use the time to do something straight away. But that is work in progress, and hopefully one day I will not use any other editor uh, at all. I mean, of course, for majority of my work, I use Emacs, but not always, and I'm not really ashamed of it. Sometimes people are too rigid to use anything else. I mean, this is applicable not just for the editor, but also, you know, in general. Let us say people don't really use Windows at all, or they don't really use Mac at all. For example, I have one laptop here which is running, which is basically on Windows because I have to. I have no other choice. This is of course Linux. I have this MacBook which I use for my meetings. So I use things that work. I mean, to be honest, I don't really have to use a Mac because I can do all my meetings on this Linux machine. Zoom works really well. even Google Meet works really well. But if I'm talking to a client, or maybe if I'm trying to deliver a lengthy meeting, or maybe an event or a training, then this Linux machine, this 10-year-old ThinkPad X220, sometimes struggle. And and if I know that I cannot really afford any interruption in my meeting or my training sessions, I just use my Mac. I mean, I guess expecting this 10-year-old or maybe more than 10-year-old, 11-year-old ThinkPad to handle those video calls for a long time, I think it is a bit too much. But uh, if I'm talking to a friend, and if we are doing a quick screen sharing session for half an hour, for 1 hour, or maybe if I can afford those uh, interruptions in between, I mean it works most of the times, but not always. So I'm not very rigid about using a specific technology for doing everything. I use whatever works, but of course it is an ongoing process, uh, and I think that is how we should try to adopt new technologies, especially if you are trying to move to Linux. Uh, for some reason, I think you should, but at the same time, be open about everything. Be open about using uh, a specific piece of software if you have to. Don't really try to stop yourself. Don't really try to waste your time. Even if you have to use Excel for doing something very quickly, then do it. But whatever technology you're using, whatever thing that you're supposed to use it, but try to optimize it. Try to be efficient. For example, if I have to use Excel, I think I'm quite good in Excel. I have almost written a book in Excel VBA. I mean, when I say I'm good in Excel, I'm not talking about the formulas. I mean, those are standard things. I don't really consider them even a skill. I mean, it is a skill, but for me, because I'm way beyond using those complex formulas, I am more into VBA and writing code to solve my problem. And I still do it. In fact, 2 days ago, I wrote one macro for a friend to basically update thousands of Word files uh, in a directory, and the requirement was that you have to add a text at the bottom of the Word file automatically. Of course, I mean, you can do it manually, but imagine you're doing the same thing for 1,000 files, then that is, of course, not really the best use of your time. So I use whatever I have to use, but I try to be efficient. And that is it. Bye bye.